All right, 6 o'clock. So let's call the meeting to order. Welcome. This is the November 13th, 2025 meeting of the Concord Recreation Commission. We'll do a quick attendance just so everybody knows who is here and we establish a quorum. Bill Griffiths here.
Laura Stearns.
Pete Funkhauser.
Danny Rodriguez.
And I think Matt Boger is on his way, but it'll be late. But we've got a quorum, so let's get off and running. Briefly, I'll review the agenda for this evening. We'll do some routine business, approving our minutes from the last meeting. We're going to have a conversation about the issue of video surveillance and security at the BD Center, and then a conversation about marketing strategy with Maggie leading the conversation. Looking forward to that. It's been postponed a couple of times, so thank you for your patience. We'll go through an update on our various standing topics that we have. Apologies, I have a babysitter who's in time. We're all good. We have our standing topics, which we will go through, and then we will, last major agenda item, we're going to talk about the Rideout Park Court resurfacing project, updates on where we are, and a conversation about that project's relationship to our facility strategic plan. And then we'll do closeout business there. I just want to remind everybody that we have a lot of folks here in the room. I'm assuming just about everybody is here because they want to hear Maggie's marketing strategy presentation. No, okay, I didn't think so. Sorry, Maggie. I knew you wanted that. I know we have a lot of interest in the Rideout Park Court resurfacing project. So we will get to that, but I just want to remind everybody that this is a regular meeting of the Recreation Commission, not a public meeting or public comment on that project. We will update everybody with the best information we can and address some issues that have been raised. And then we will talk about the context of the facility strategic plan. But again, this is a regular meeting. It's not a public comment. I encourage anybody who has not yet provided public comment to do so on that project. If you have not done so, please do. All of those comments will be recorded and shared with everybody according to the schedule I'll talk about a little later. But just wanted to let people know that's what's going on here tonight. That's our agenda for the evening. So we'll start. Lee, anything else we want to add on there?
No, except that you can add public comment comes to me.
Yes. We'll talk about that
later. Yeah.
We'll start by approval of our minutes from our last meeting. Maggie sent round a draft. Did anybody have any questions? I noted you made the correction that Mary Hartman suggested.
Yes.
Anybody else have any other questions on the minutes?
I had a couple edits. I sent them in, and then also Megan had a couple small edits, and she sent them in, and that was her presentation around the cell tower. You remember? So she sent a couple CDs in. But that's all I've seen. So.
Were they into the last version that we got?
No, because they were sent.
Oh, okay.
I can send around an updated one.
Yeah.
They were just some points on her talking points.
Okay.
But I can that.
I'd like to see those before we formally approve.
Sure.
Yep. So we'll put that back on the minutes for next time, because that's a conversation which I am very interested in, the cell phone monopole tower issue at Rideout Park. Which I'm sure a lot of you are very interested in as well, I would imagine.
Right now.
Okay, then we'll hold off on approving those minutes until we get the final version back from Maggie with the final changes. All right, first substantive item on our agenda, video surveillance security issues at the BD Center.
Yes, thank you. So Lee Jackson, Recreation Director. Thank you all for being here as well. We have a situation at BD, and I wanted to talk to the commission about it. We have had security issues and maybe some safety issue concerns there. And I'm just kind of looking for your input and support on how to move forward to address those. And so I'm going to read off these notes because I had to take them. I don't have it all memorized, but I want to give you some background and information. We are considering putting in video surveillance basically inside the BD Center on the lower floor where the locker rooms are. All right, so I'm going to present to you some facts and kind of background information. And then I'm going to hand it over to Bob, our facility manager, who's here. And he's going to address the technical information around where the videos would be located and the quote for the work. So I'll start there. So recent incidents we've had include These are all from 2025, recently, actually, since June of 2025. The men's locker room, inside the men's locker room, someone came in and took video of someone in the locker room without their permission. So that's a strange situation that we don't want to happen again. If we had surveillance outside that locker room, it might have helped us identify that person as they left the locker room. And unfortunately, we didn't have that. On 6/30/2025, in our parking lot, a vehicle was, the window was broken and valuables in the car were taken. We have now installed an outdoor parking video monitoring system. You can talk to Bob about that if you have questions. But in August, on August 12th, in the lower lobby, an individual yelled and spat on staff in that area of the building. And of course, we didn't get that person. On 9/25, in the men's locker room, this is the first time a lock was smashed that we have record of in the last couple of years, and cash was stolen. But this is the issue that keeps on happening now. So ever since September. So that was on September 25th was the first time. The second time was on September 26th. And in this case, a combination lock was broken and cash and a gold watch was taken out of the locker. That was just the following day, obviously. And then here in October, on the 28th of October, in the men's locker room, a lock was removed from a locker again, and nothing was stolen. On November 3rd, in the men's locker room, a lock was described as being popped off. Cash was stolen. Credit cards and phone were untouched in that particular incident. On 11/4, cash was taken from a wallet that was left on the counter. And it looks to be, the way it was reported, it looks like it was in the strength room, the strength and conditioning room, which is upstairs. And so those are the recent issues we've had. Because of the lock and the locker incidents, there was 4 of those within a month. 4 of those within a month. And so it's got me thinking a lot about what can I do for the residents here so they can make sure when they come to work out, they're not going to have anything stolen, of course, right? That's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking how best to do it. Right now, what we do is when an incident like this happens at BD Swim and Fitness, we call the police, we make a police report. If the incident happens in the parking lot now, we do have videos monitoring the parking lot. The police are the only ones who have access to that, so they can use that. They have tapped into that, but we don't have anything inside the building. So, and by the way, I'm going to read my notes because I wrote them for you. I probably had Jenny's help with this. So the inside is that there's multiple thefts, there's tampering, there's unsafe behavior that shows a reoccurring risk to these areas, especially in the lower lobby and the locker adjacent spaces. The benefits that we think of video surveillance, we think it'll reduce theft and misconduct. We hope it enhances our safety for both staff and patrons. We think it'll strengthen members' confidence. We are getting reports from members and guests, obviously, that come into the building, asking Jenny, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Jenny's had GM, what are you doing to address this? So it's not just staff talking about addressing it, is definitely getting public comment as well. We also think that the video surveillance might help with operational oversight, meaning after hours, there's a cleaning crew in there. We have had problems with some of the cleanliness of the facility that we've, been working with our custodians and inside that building, but it would help us. We would have ability to surveillance. Was this floor actually vacuumed, that kind of thing. So it's probably minor in this case, but it would be helpful. We also think that we'd have remote insight when our security alarm is triggered. Our security alarm is triggered from time to time, but it would give us an ability to put an app to go inside the app and actually see who's in the building. And that would be something that Bob would be able to do, our facilities manager who just joined. So that would be nice. So essentially for us, we're also looking for evidence and liability mitigation. if we have the footage available, we can send it to investigations, obviously dispute any, potential someone who says they didn't do something, that kind of thing. So our recommended action right now is to install high resolution cameras, just covering the lower lobby and the locker adjacent areas, excluding inside the locker rooms, of course, right? We never do that. Outside the locker rooms. We want to ensure that people can store their equipment, obviously, in the lockers. And I understand this is becoming more of a prevalent issue, not just at our facility, but at many facilities around the area and maybe even the country. I understand there's a TikTok video that went live, and a lot of people are doing this. So, but we want to ensure that the secure storage of recorded footage, and we can do that with Bob will talk about the group we got a quote from. We would post visible signage everywhere so that people knew that we had these cameras. We're not trying to do it under the dark of the night. So we would notify people that we would have the cameras. And this is something we're thinking about. So we want to enhance video surveillance in the lower lobby. But let me get Bob to talk a little bit about the technicality of it and some of the quotes that we got.
So some of the cameras will be visible. They'll just have that dark bubble you see basically everywhere you go. We end up reaching out to our security provider, New Era Technology. They're a town of Concord vetted company. We've worked with them before in the past. We're proposing to install these cameras on a lower level area, basically at the hallway going out to the pool deck and in front of the locker room door. And these are dual image cameras. So ultimately you get two cameras in one. You have two sensors in it. So, and ultimately one will face the pool area and one will face across the lower level over there to the opposite locker room, and then basically mirror image on the other side. So that will capture anybody going in and out of the locker rooms, in and out of to the pool deck, and also the multi-purpose room. And it'll just capture anybody just coming downstairs into that area, period. This is stuff that these areas the detectives have asked us for. They're looking for information or anything that we might have in these areas. It'd be key to their investigation. We have a lot of people that enter the building, but they don't always go downstairs. So we have a camera at the vestibule area at the front door, but that doesn't say who's actually downstairs, who did it.
Meaning just for meets, right? As an example, just for meets, sometimes parents may come in to watch and just stay upstairs. But we are most interested in what's happening down.
Yes, and a lot of people just have to come in, use the cardio room, strength room, and then leave without using all the locker areas. Ultimately, these cameras, they're dual imaging cameras, like I said, which cuts down on both hardware and installation costs. We're looking at $6,001.13. Which is
purchase and installation.
Correct. Yeah, all of them. And we're going to have 4 separate views, and they'll just be added to our existing interface.
Can you talk a little bit about, is there an app for that?
There is,
Meaning,
yeah.
or would you have that on your phone, on your work phone? And
Not
then-
on my phone, but
Okay,
and
how
I'm
does
not
that
sure if it's capable for phone use, but it's on my work laptop.
There you go. Okay.
And we have a few other areas in the building. In the mechanical areas where we have water sensors and that type of thing. So if that sensor gets triggered, I'm able to, like say after hours or weekends, I'm able to open up the surveillance system and actually view that area on my laptop to see if it's just a minor leak or flood or. And the same thing for entry alarms and that type of thing. Maybe the cleaners had set it off, or hopefully not somebody entering the building. But yeah, there's an app for the laptop for that. Yes.
Great. So that's the scenario, and I'm just requesting basically your support or your strong opposition. I would love to hear it, so that I don't make a decision that goes against, the commission and what you would like to see.
One question, you talked about purchase installation costs. Is there a monthly fee or operating fee that you have to pay to?
There is not, no. Yeah, so we will actually, part of this is the licensing fee to actually obtain these cameras, which you have to, in order to do it actually to the town. But after that, there's no cost. I'm not sure if there's an overhead cost actually, but that the town pays. This is part of like a town-wide
So there are other townhome facilities that are using this same technology.
Yeah, but so actually, the police
Concord,
department, yeah, police
to be
department
clear,
themselves can-
Concord,
yeah,
townhome,
can
yes.
tap right into our system and see what we have there, as well as we can do that locally.
So what do you think? Do you have strong opinions or thoughts that you want to share about this project?
I have a strong opinion. I think it's a great idea. I know I use the BD Center at least 3 times a week. Mostly I'm upstairs. Occasionally I go downstairs. And I think the idea of someone breaking into a locker and stealing my stuff is absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
And anything that you can do to help prevent that, I think is a big step forward. I'm very sympathetic to your plan.
Great.
Agree.
I think
Yep.
it's
Great.
something unfortunately that we have to do. I don't
Okay.
think there's any question about it.
Great, because it would feel better to tell, when I got the call about the gold watch and the cash, that's when I started going, okay, this is pretty serious. I need to do something. You in agreement?
Yeah.
Dana? Okay.
And what's the timing? How long, when can they have this installed and
Bob
get it
knows.
operation?
Probably knows.
Yeah, probably 6 to 8 weeks from now, I imagine. I'm not sure what their exact schedule is right now at this point, but other projects in the past have been right about that time frame.
And I would advise you just to make a note, like a notifying everybody when it comes on and that it's available, that just send out a blast to all your.
We can add it to the monthly email as well. Maggie works on the monthly notification email that we send out, and we can add it there. And then we can make little signs like those. Have you seen them, the little yellow signs we could put on the building? This building is under surveillance or something of that sort. So we'll work on all of that, and then we'll certainly notify people before we start using cameras.
Would you take a suggestion? Put the notices up immediately. It may very well deter the thieves. Yeah, but if the notices are off, maybe they'll turn around and open.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll get it done.
Good.
All right. Maggie, the long-awaited marketing strategy.
Yes,
presentation.
oh, look.
Again, apologies for us having to delay this for a couple of
That
weeks.
is quite all right.
I'm really excited about this project. Maggie's been working hard. Maggie, was promoted last year to our marketing director, and she's made a great deal of effort, so far. Would you let me do your slides for you?
I think we're okay.
You're gonna do, okay, well, you let me know.
I go off and talk a little bit. All right. So our marketing strategy. So, oh, yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
And this out, all of them. I am going to give out a physical copy just because there is a lot of text on each of the pages. This will be available on our website
Thank you.
later on. It's in
In our meeting.
our yes. So this is a marketing plan, a multi-year marketing plan that was finalized over the summer and presented to staff and was going to be presented to all of you in September. Has been pushed off a little bit, but I'm actually glad because now we can also show you the progress we've already made on it and what we've already accomplished. So this is actually the first marketing plan our department has ever had. So we were, yes, very exciting. So we were sort of starting from scratch. And one of the very first things, I don't know why this.
Just let it, yeah.
We'll
let
just let it
bother you. Okay.
Yes, all right. So the first thing that you have to do with the marketing plan is establish who are you? And so we clearly defined that Concord Recreation is committed to enriching the lives of residents through high quality programs, events, and facilities that promote health, wellness, and community spirit. This marketing plan will outline a comprehensive approach to encourage engagement, track participation, and strengthen the department's visibility across all demographics. So the plan will focus on strategic messaging, multi-channel outreach, community engagement, and data-driven evaluation. So the first thing that we asked is, do our current mission statement and core values still reflect who we are today? Now, these are, this mission statement and core values were developed about 10 years ago. An outside consultant came in to rebrand the department in 2016. It was a joint effort with staff input, but we wanted to sort of reassess now that we have a lot of new staff. Do we still feel that this is us? And the general consensus was, yes, this is us. So we're gonna keep it. Our mission statement, for those of you who don't know, is supporting and promoting community through wellness and play. And our core values are dedicated, innovative, inclusive, valued, and fun. So what we did decide to add is a vision statement. Now, just to give a little bit of clarity, a mission statement is like the present and a vision statement is the future. So sort of to give you a metaphor that I always like to use, your mission statement is the workhorse that gets you to your destination, whereas your vision statement is your destination itself. And in a lot of ways, we want to be a destination because we believe that we are where Concord comes together. And so that's what we hope to achieve. Are there any questions thus far? All right. So now what do we want to achieve? So we defined that our 4 main goals are to enhance communication, increase engagement, increase revenue, and enhance awareness. Now, these are a 1 to 3 year goals. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do all of this in 1 year, but we already have 8 of them in progress. 1 of them is complete and 4 have yet to be started. One of the biggest things that was needed in order to gauge this is that in order to see how well you're doing, you need data to compare it against. That data didn't exist. So for the past year, I've been collecting that data. So now moving forward in January, I'm actually going to be able to have something to compare it to. And we'll be able to show an accurate reflection of, hey, this is how well we're doing compared to last year. So for those that have not yet been started, those are going to be focuses next year. One of them is our department website, which we are well aware is a little bit difficult to navigate and is definitely needs to be updated. But I believe the town is currently undergoing a renovation of their website. So we're going to let them do that first, and then we'll do ours after.
There might be some implications, right, that, you know, fall down from the town's update, so we're just gonna hit pause for a minute.
Our website is structurally part of the town's website.
Yes.
It's not independent.
No,
Operate.
it is independent.
It's
But we
independent.
made it independent.
Yes, so we actually have, we have
It's hard
a,
to describe.
we have a page on the town website, but then it will direct you to our website. And we actually have 2 websites. It's kind of confusing. We have a department website and then we have our registration website. And that is actually one of the things, in part of this with, enhancing communication is that we're trying to streamline communication across all of that because we have we're on a lot of different platforms. And, we want to make sure that all of our communication is just coming from one platform. So we're able to actually track it and see how it's doing. Because right now that is something that is commented on a lot about either they get too many emails or they don't get any emails. And we're trying to kind of clean all of that up. So that's what I've been working on. A lot of housekeeping. Any questions on any of these? I'm not going to just read through all of them. Again, this will be on our website in marketing materials. But does anyone have any questions on any of them thus far?
I'll have some questions at the end.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wasn't sure because sometimes it might be easier to ask as is, but you can always ask at the end. All right, so now we're getting into kind of what are we doing like right now? These are the objectives that we laid out for this year. And we're going to focus on 3 different channels. We have our digital channels, community outreach, and traditional media. So print and traditional media. And each of them will have different focuses. And as you can see, we've already completed many of those already. We've actually completed all of them when it comes to traditional media. With this fall is when we started transitioning our seasonal brochure to digital first with limited print. In the past, we have mailed a copy of the brochure, which I actually just got them hot off the presses, to every single resident in town in both Concord and Carlisle, because Carlisle are considered residents. Now, the total of that was about 9,000 copies. This was obviously quite expensive because you also have to factor in postage. And when I would go after each season to collect the excess, I would have boxes of hundreds of brochures that were undeliverable or that were just left over.
Key point, yes.
Yes,
Too many
so
left over.
I would have to recycle hundreds and it just felt like throwing money down, the bin. So in an effort to be way more sustainable and reduce our carbon footprint, we have limited print, which are here at Beatty and at Harvey Wheeler. But the brochure is on our website. It is digital there with links and everything. But you can always come in and get a physical copy. So that was something that we were able to very successfully reduce. We haven't really gotten any pushback. Residents were notified at least probably a year in advance. We had it published in a year's worth of brochures leading up to it. And so, yeah, one thing that is actually really exciting. I know Lee's going to do a presentation about our strategic partnerships next time, but one of them is with Minuteman Media Network. And so they've actually started coming to our events and doing little short videos that we're going to use to advertise. I don't know if you've seen, recently they were at Trunk or Treat and it's on their YouTube and we put it on our social media, but it's this really cute little video. Julie, who's the director over there, she like dressed up and interviewed the kids. And it's great. And so one of our efforts is to have a lot more like video content, because that is where we find that we get the most engagement, especially in the younger demographic online. So we're going to try to like push that and get a lot more of that so that we can really show who we are and focus more on like storytelling. Any questions on any of these? Well, one thing I will say, we are this year for the first time doing an open house. So mark your calendars, it'll be January 9th. It'll be probably when's the DJ, afternoon, evening?
You're doing like 4:30 or 5 o'clock.
4:30, 5 o'clock. So we decided that instead of promoting, you know, our programs and events and stuff at our existing events, why not have an event where we just promote ourselves and everything we do? We've invited all of our partners to come. We will have like a table for camp, a table for childcare. BD will be there. So it'll be a time where people can come, they can ask their questions, they can register, they can fill out, you know, financial assistance applications. We'll have activities up in the gym so that like the kids can go play while the parents are asking all their questions that they need to. Timing wise, it is a few weeks right before carousel, camp, and school year registrations are. February, end of January and all throughout February is when all of our heavy registration happens. And a lot of times people are like, oh God, I totally forgot. It wasn't on my calendar. And so that was sort of our idea. Let's, right in the new year, have an open house, advertise, you know, the heck out of it and make sure people get there. We'll have probably some promotional stuff. Maybe our cool vision statement might be on some new t-shirts that will be given away there. But it'll be a time where everyone will just sort of have recreation on the brain going into that sort of heavy registration season. And obviously we would love all of you to be there if you want. You can meet people, meet all the staff. And we plan to have like all of our staff there.
You can do the outreach for that will be on sort of the list of people that we have now and maybe partner with some people with the schools and let people know through parent teacher groups and that sort of thing.
Yep. So the public elementary schools are one of our partners.
Okay.
I do send weekly updates for their like PTG email newsletters for the parent teacher groups. And so we will obviously be like pushing through there.
Yeah.
And you know, we also partner with like the library and the Council on Aging. So all of that.
Great.
Yeah. Any questions so far? All right, so just to kind of give you like a snapshot of where we are, I've taken two of these and kind of blown them out. So the first two where it's, we want to increase our social media follower count by 10%, and then we want to increase reach and engagement by 15%. So this is kind of where we are thus far with those goals, which is actually pretty good being only halfway through Q2. Got a little bit of work on Facebook. That one's a little bit tough, but
we have a plan.
we do have a plan. We did some
We have a
brainstorming.
plan. We'll execute it.
Yes, and so it's kind of just a snapshot of what our numbers look thus far. We actually are one of the highest departments, if not the highest, that has like follower count compared to even like the town's account and like the library's account. So that's kind of exciting. We're not nearly as high as the police department. I think, you know, Thor kind
They win, Thor wins.
of Thor added so much to them.
You all know Thor is the new puppy dog, the
Yeah,
comfort dog, the comfort dog. He's adorable. Yeah, it's hard to fight with. You know.
You can't compare.
If you guys want to get us one, I'll take it.
I
Yeah,
know.
exactly. But let's one up them. Let's have the wreck dog, wreck puppy.
Actually.
We come to Pat, maybe.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. But and then on the side here, I just sort of have a snapshot of Also internally, what I'm doing then to also help our staff. So there are certain things that in my new position, I have now taken over. So I'm taking over oversight of our department website, communication to those school newsletters. And I will be maintaining sort of templates for everyone to use to kind of streamline everything. We recently updated the BD monthly member newsletter template, and we'll be doing a lot more moving forward.
Flyers, etc. The idea is to get one voice to the department, and we're making good progress.
Yeah, to improve consistency. And then I will be doing, obviously, quarterly, reports to Lee, but each year now, moving forward at the end of the year. So probably sometime during the summer, I will be doing a full marketing report of that year. So moving forward, you'll probably see, all right, this was our plan. Now, what have we executed? And then moving forward, our comparison from year to year to kind of see how we're doing. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Short and simple. Any questions?
I have a couple questions, but first
Yeah.
comment, I think this is good. I'm just really glad to see that we're making this effort. I mean, I've been only involved for a couple of years, but never saw anything like this before. And it's really nice to just have someone thinking, because it's frustrating as a resident, and you've got to go 10 different places for information. It's hard to find. You can't get the right answer you're looking for. So any work you can do on this is really helpful. And I look forward to seeing the results. I have just two observations with a caveat. I know nothing about marketing and I know nothing about websites. So just so you know. So, but it does seem to me like one of the things that we've talked about for a long time, and it was sort of a small item that came up in the strategic plan as well, is sort of creating an image, a logo, a look that can transcend both a website and people go to a facility and there's a sign that says, BB Center, Hunt Gym, all these different things. It's got the same look and feel about it. So they know when they're in a space and we're running programs, it all looks the same. That's a couple of years out, but let's think about, as you're going through design concepts here, that having something like that to sort of put your brand all over, not just electronic media and stuff like that, would be something really
Yeah,
helpful.
brand identity is something that we
It's on our list.
that we talked about. It was not as high of a priority as some of the others, but is definitely something that we have
On the
talked
radar,
about
for
and is
sure.
on the
Yeah,
radar.
it's a couple of years out. You've got other stuff you've got to
Yeah.
work through here. And as again said, know nothing about websites. But my observation of our website and any website you go through, that they go through a transition, and what people think about when they create websites is like, this is how I view the world. I work in recreation and I work in the town. This is how I think about things, and I organize things by fiscal year budgets and this, that, and the other.
Nobody else does. Yeah.
Do it the other way. Think about
The
residents,
user.
people who want to use our facilities. Let's just make sure we're always focused on the user's view of the world, not our own view of the world. There's my knowledge of websites, right?
That's a great piece of feedback. Thank you.
That
We
is,
will-
and
We will apply it.
yeah, that is definitely something that that is sort of my goal, is to really sort of streamline the website and have that sort of main website just be like the information that you need to know. Like, you go to the sports page and there'll be an FAQ of, what sort of questions that you want for like all of the pages. But then any sort of further information, they can reach out or go to the registration website. We really sort of want just sort of a snapshot of that, so people don't have to dig around for information.
And my other experience is that we want to be careful. We want to be sure that the town, whoever's sort of doing this for the town-wide, knows what we're doing and is comfortable with what we're doing, because the last thing you want to do is spend all this time, then the town's going to say, we're doing it differently.
That's
We're going to
right.
organize it.
That's
this
why
way."
we're waiting.
And we need to make sure and let us know if there's any conversations there that people have, because it's all the things we want to do should be town-wide objectives, and we want to be in lockstep with that. We want to have independence where it's appropriate, but so let's just make sure we're on the same page with them.
Yeah. Of course, we'll do. Any other questions?
Thoughts, questions? We're good?
Yeah, I think this is great work. I've said before, I'm a heavy utilizer of these services. So anything we can do to make it easier to navigate and more visible, I think is great. I'll come to the open house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
good. We'll do the-
Love to have you.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll set up a microphone. Come speak to the
Yeah,
recreation
get your
commissioner.
picture with the
You can
commissioner.
just sit there and I'll feed you.
All right.
water and
Yeah.
Food, and you can just hang out and answer questions. I kid you, but I'm glad you can. Thank
Maggie,
you.
this is terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah, really good.
Thank you.
Really
Okay.
good.
Thank you for
Looking
hearing.
forward to hearing regular updates as well.
That's the song.
All right, well, we're gonna turn to our standing topics. Mary Hartman, are you on the online with us?
I am. I'm on the screen. I hope. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Great. Thank you, Phil. Just quickly, I think this marketing plan is great. It's ambitious, I'll have to say that. But I think especially simplifying the communication would go a long way. I use the BD Center quite a bit, and I think that would make a big difference. And I know, Phil, you said that you know nothing about marketing, but when you said that always take the user's view of the world, I mean, that's the essence of marketing. What
Yeah.
what do the users want? Not necessarily what the staff or the management wants, but looking at what the users want. So and we know what they want by what they use, and by listening to them. So I think this marketing plan is a great start. As my role as a select board member, I want to just remind, you might have seen something today, Phil, you might have seen it, and Lee, you might have seen it, that the town is publishing its annual town report in January. And we ask every commission, every department to write something up briefly about what are you doing for the town. It's just a great way to let residents, especially new residents, know what each board and commission is tasked to do. And it's also a great way for us to remind ourselves what we're supposed to be focused on. So January 16th is the deadline to get that to Donna McIntosh. So I just wanted to remind you of that. And that's all I got.
Great, thank you, Mary. I think, Maggie, that the annual report probably falls on you to think about what we're gonna put in there, and
I'm actually gonna do that.
we'll talk about the final touches that she's gonna do, but let's
Yeah.
have a draft.
I
Maybe we
like
could have
fun
a,
pictures.
maybe we can have a draft,
Behind the pictures, DJ and I actually write it every year, so we'll do that again.
maybe we have a
Great.
draft for our December meeting.
Yeah, sure.
That way we can provide some comment, feedback, et cetera, before it gets finalized.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Barry.
We're still looking for a finance committee rep. I don't believe we have anybody on here. Do we have?
No.
Yeah.
That's where, yeah, we still
I believe
haven't
it's
gotten.
John, but we haven't had an attendance yet, so I can follow up with
We'll follow on that,
Jessica
get that.
on that and see if we can.
Strategic plan initiatives, we had been talking about, a couple that'll come up in our other, agendas here under community preservation, right up with all these other things. The one, we had an update last week on our, discussion about, access to water, the blue highways, that we're not proceeding with our project with Natural Resources Commission this year, but we're putting it on hold. Moving on, there are no other specific updates, related to that. They won't come up under other issues. Community preservation, Matt is our liaison there. He is not here, but I have two items to update on there. One, I did forward a letter to the Community Preservation Committee, informing them of our waiting at least 1 year on our Giroux Park Phase 2 while we're waiting for Phase 1 to get completely finished, and because a couple of other projects have taken precedence for us this year, so they've been notified about that. And at the recent meeting, a week or two ago, it was the end of October, I presented our request for additional funding to help support the project at Rideout Park. Essentially with the message being, as we had discussed before, we're looking for their help to be able to do the project with post-tension concrete as opposed to asphalt, which has the 30-year lifetime as opposed to 10-year lifetime. That's what we're looking for help from the Community Preservation Committee with, for funding. I think it was well received, and we'll see what goes on. It goes through that long process, but the presentation was made, and I think we're in good shape there. Land use working group, again, Matt is our representative there. Mary, is there anything going on in the larger land use working group that we need to know of? Matt's usually our liaison. I don't know if there's anything that's relevant for us at the
Not
moment.
at this stage, Phil. We're just collecting a lot of data right now about,
Yeah.
square footage, staffing, operating costs. We're still in the data collection mode. So for now, you're good.
Okay, thank you. Right out court, we'll come back to that at the end. Any more updates on the Maisie O'Donnell dry dive
There was,
facility process?
there was an update and I know Jessica Porter wanted to give an update, so let me just pause a minute and see if she's on.
She is not
here?
on.
I'll give you an update, in an attempt to channel Jessica.
For the record, she's at a disability commission meeting, so she said she'd join us.
She does want to pop on. In the case she doesn't make it, I will let you know that the conversation is underway. I'll remind you that the Maisie O'Donnell project went in front of the select board and, as a concept and was approved to move forward. And, so there is conversations happening right now, around, if you saw the presentation, we're setting up the LLC. The original LLC that opened Beatty Swim and Fitness Center, is reconfiguring. And that process, I got an email today, was approved by I think it's Attorney General. Don't hold me to that, but it was approved today. I did get that email, so I will share that out loud with the public. So I think all of that is moving smoothly through the town. I know there is, work, that's happening right now around a memorandum of understanding. What's referred to as an MOU, at least in town language. They are working on that as well with the LLC and the town to make this project happen. So that's the update I can give you.
That's great news. I'm glad they.
Yeah, it's really good. It's great. It's moving forward and there's a lot of people involved in making it happen.
Yeah, it's gonna involve, I know our team are excited actually to get involved and
Yes.
see it happen. It'll be a big improvement for the BD Center and a appropriate honor for the town to do it. So I think it's a good thing. Giroux Recreation Area updated on during the community preservation comment, just to note that our project, which was looking at initial kind of community outreach and design for water access and a playground there, we'll do it next fall. We had intended to do it this fall, but the amount of work involved in Right Out Park and the Maisie O'Donnell Center is, and both of those are higher priority projects for us. So we've informed the CPC that one's gonna take a backseat for a little while, but we're still excited to get engaged in that. There has been some work with community development, it was community development office to do help finish off some of the phase one stuff that's out there. So we'll let that play out in the spring and then we'll start again in next fall.
Yes.
Community partner invitation. We do not have an outstanding community partner invitation. Although I'd like to suggest that we invite Thor to our next meeting. That might be something we would all enjoy. Are there any community partners, any of the commissioners want to see? We've had some good sessions with natural resources, some folks from the Aspet Oars, the Association of Aspet River, Sudbury, whatever, I can't remember exactly what it stands. Are there any other groups that commissioners would like to see us invite in for a sort of update on how we currently and how we could partner with you more in the future?
You mentioned oars. Have they been by at all to talk to us in the recent past?
I think it was 18 months, it was some time ago, it was maybe a year ago.
I would say they've met with me at least a couple times last year. They may have come in front of you, but it has been a good 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it'd be worth 5 minutes of their time and hours for them to just explain to people. I don't know, Lord, do you know what oars is and what they do, for example? Kind of, bring us up to date on their activities. Not that we're gonna make any decisions or do anything, but I think it's helpful for us to understand who they are and what they're.
And they're close partners with it. They're supportive of our efforts to, get water access at Giroux Park to Warner's Pond. And we had also talked to them about partnering with us and Natural Resources Division on water access to the river over by the cow pasture. Those are all exciting things that we want to work on. So we want to continue to foster that partnership. So let's invite them
I will invite them to the next.
at their appropriate time.
They'll actually be delighted because we have I'm sorry, can I add something? Okay, just a minute. They would be delighted because they are very interested in assisting us in our strategic plans effort to have more access to water. As a general topic, we have started partnership with them, meaning a real partnership, and we've started it with education. So they have been working with Carousel or after school. After school. And so we wanted to kind of just ease our way into figuring out how we could both work with education and recreation a little bit. And so they'd be delighted. They have more ideas. So I'll invite them.
Great. Okay, next item on our agenda is to talk about the Rideout Park Court resurfacing. I know that's what a lot of people who are here tonight are interested in hearing about. And I, again, want to just remind people, this is our regular meeting. This is not a public comment. This is not a public meeting for comment on the area, but I encourage you email the address.
Lee Jackson, L Jackson, L Jackson at concordma.gov.
If you have not yet submitted comments, please do so. Given our schedule of upcoming meetings and various things, we're gonna accept comment up through the 21st of November, just before the Thanksgiving break, because we need to correlate everything, make sure everyone's had a chance to do it before we meet again, to be able to share all those comments with people. So if you have not yet done so, please submit comments by the 21st of this month.
May I ask a question? Are you interested in just quantity or different ideas?
If we want to know people's comment, we're not gonna let people send us 10 emails from the same email address saying, I want this, I want this, I want this.
Sense for 20 people who are supporting tennis or 20 people who are supporting pickleball. Are you interested in a number?
Yeah, so we want to hear from people. If people have comments that they want to send, they should submit a comment. So I'm going to give a brief update on the project where it stands at the moment, and then we're going to transition to review one issue in particular that has been raised in a few comments. I will note this is an unusual way of doing it. Our normal process would be to take all of the public comments, everybody's comments, summarize them, put the whole package together for both the subcommittee and for all of the commissioners to review at the same time. Sort of pulling one out is not generally what we do. We want to make sure everybody's comments are treated equally. But there has been a particular strain of comment that I wanted to address because I think it's an important one, and that is how the work we're proposing at Rideout fits into our recreational facility strategic plan from last year. I think it's an important question that we need to discuss and make sure we understand how it works. And we will turn to that after we do an update on the process and where we are. Okay, anybody questions on that? I apologize in advance that I'm going to talk a little bit because I'm on the subcommittee. I'm aware of the facility, and I'm just going to sort of tell you where I think we're coming from. Put the issue on the table, and then we'll talk about it. But I apologize in advance that there's a few things I think we need to go through that I think are important. So updating on the project, the subcommittee for the project, which we chartered to do a lot of the technical review and do a lot of the heavy lifting to bring back a recommendation to this commission. Daniel and I sit on it, both with Lee, DJ, Jessica Porter, Bob, and Marty. And Eric Shaw from Public Works, who help us with any of the contracting and that sort of thing. We had a public meeting, which we held on the 21st of October, at which we presented 3 options that had been developed by the subcommittee for replacing the existing courts at Rideout Park. They need complete replacement. We're past the time when we can just do painting over the cracks and filling in the cracks. We need to do complete replacement of those facilities. So we took the opportunity to look at 3 options, which we presented at the public forum. We talked about maintaining, essentially redoing them as they're. When you replace the entire structure, you have the opportunity to think about repurposing the courts and how you use them. So we took advantage of the opportunity to do that, to look at a couple of options and get comment. We put out 3 options for comment. One, putting them back as they are now, which is 3 tennis courts, also lined for temporary 6 pickleball courts, was one option. A second option was to do 8 dedicated pickleball courts and no tennis courts. And a third option was to take 2 of the tennis courts, put them as 6 dedicated pickleball courts, and keep 1 tennis court. Those were the 3 options that we whittled down various other options from in the subcommittee. We had some other configurations of various things, which we all decided were not worth moving forward to public comment. So we submitted those, put them out for public comment. My observation was that it was actually a really good conversation. I think it was a very helpful meeting. We had a lot of help from our consultants responding to technical questions. Our consultants presented, there were very technical questions. People have obviously thought a lot about these things. And I actually thought there was a good conversation back and forth between various user groups, which was very helpful. So overall, I think that meeting was very successful. We are still accepting public comments by email. We have a roster of comments that we got from that meeting. We're still accepting public comments by email until the 21st, so next Friday. The subcommittee will meet again on the 1st of December, at which point, one of the reasons we're closing the public comment on the 21st is to get a chance to correlate it all, summarize it all, put a package together. So we've got all of that. We've got technical responses from the consultants. So the subcommittee will meet again on the 1st of December. And our objective is at that subcommittee meeting to come up with our recommendation to be brought forward to the full commission. At which point, the commission will next meet on the 11th of December, at which point we will present the recommendation that the subcommittee has come up with, and before that meeting, make the full set of comments available to everyone so they can see what people have said and what we have worked through with the consultants and how we've weighed all these things, and a recommendation that we're going to make to the commission. And the commission can then decide to approve, suggest changes, and whatever needs to happen. We do, in terms of moving forward the process, that would then lead to sort of in January, we begin the process of putting out RFPs for construction. It's these things take a long time to get done, with a goal of construction happening as soon as we can in the summer to fall. Again, it's a 2-month construction project window because of the amount of time it takes to get rid of the existing materials and do all that kind of,
Yeah.
it's a 2 to 3 month process. So we want to,
Depends on rain.
yeah, it's a lot of weather dependent, but it needs to be
Especially the-
finished before you get too late into fall. So we're aiming for a summer start. That's going to depend on a lot of things. The issue about whether or not we can afford to do the post-tension concrete will depend on the cycle of how the Community Preservation Act funding works. Our plan at the moment is essentially to go forward with the work using asphalt, which does not have the long life. It's not the ideal situation. And have in our RFP an adult to use the post-tension concrete if and when that's approved by community preservation and town meeting, that it has to go through. So that's the timing of it from that perspective. So we hope to come back to, the subcommittee hopes to come back to this group with a recommendation at our next meeting in December, meeting in between them. Any questions about that from any of the commissioners?
Are we applying for post-tension concrete just for the tennis courts or maybe for the basketball courts?
It's
too?
from a funding, it's just for the tennis and
Tennis.
pickleball courts.
Okay.
It's an expensive hobby. And it is
Yeah.
also in between the early part of this year and when we did our second round of sort of work with the consultants, it went up by about $150,000.
Okay.
Primarily because of some tariffs on Canadian steel. The post-tension is like steel stuff and
It
it's
is, pulling apart, like
pulling it to keep the tension, and it's gone up $150,000 in that time frame. So
which, yeah,
in terms of an ask for CPC in our budget, we had to make a decision as to whether we could afford to do both.
Got it.
In an ideal world, if we had all the money that we needed
Yeah,
to, we
no, I
would certainly do them
understand.
both, but that's what the request is for.
Okay.
Any other questions? Daniel, anything you want to add from?
Good. Summary.
Okay, then what I wanted to share with people is, I circulated to the commissioners, essentially a petition that has come in from abutters to Ride Out Park. Normally, as I said, we would not pull a comment out and suggest that, and we would look at them all as a whole and sort of summarize them, understand what's going on. But the petition is signed by a number of abutters to Ride Out Park raised a question about how this project, the proposals that we came forward fit into the recreational facility strategic plan, which came out last summer. We all spent a lot of time on. One of the reasons for doing this is that some of our commissioners are new and are not as familiar with the recreational facility strategic plan as others. So I thought it'd be a good conversation for us to have as a group, in case there was any issues that we wanted to send to the subcommittee about that context before they come back with their recommendation. That's the objective of our conversation here. I know a lot of people here are interested in this question. Many of you may have the abutters who signed that petition, but I'm going to go through sort of, again, I apologize for speaking too much on this. I do want to get questions from the commission, but I just think it's appropriate to set a general context since
Yes.
what we've done with all this. The recreational facilities
strategic plan, which came out last summer, has a whole bunch of things in it. There's an awful lot of material in that plan. At the 60,000 foot level, my observation when people have asked me about that plan and we talk about, there's a couple of things that I always start with. And one is that this town has a lot of great recreational resources. We have a lot of really good stuff going on and we should all be very pleased with it. Our team at Rec and in partnership with Public Works and other places do great work. We're very proud of what they offer and it's a great resource for all of us. It also includes a whole lot of aspirational goals. You ask someone in this town what they'd like to see and they are not quiet about telling you what it is they'd like to see. So there's a lot of stuff in there that we would all love to accomplish over time. The reality is that there's never the funding to do any of the things that you want to do, and we have to be very focused on what we take on and what we can actually do. But it's a wonderful document talking about aspirational things people would like to see. So it's great. We'll sort of drill down in some of them because of the relationship. There are in that document, there are multiple places where people talk about the importance and the desire for more and better opportunities to learn and play pickleball. That was probably one of the biggest things we heard during that entire process. And I can also, Lee, you can comment about outside of that
Sure.
facility planning process. It's what you hear about all the time.
It's what I hear about the most. I got a handful of calls a week. Can I play pickleball? How can I rent pickleball? Can I play more pickleball? We have a lot of wait lists in other programs, but we don't usually get that. That's the call we get. It's more about pickleball.
Yeah, so it's, and there are multiple places that talks about it quite a bit. There is also a very specific recommendation in that plan, which talks about us pursuing 6 additional courts in addition to what we have now at some location, preferably other than Rideout Park. It's a very specific recommendation. It also talks about a couple of other things that I think are worth talking about. It also tells us in many places, one of the things is we should make better use of the resources that we already have. We shouldn't always just be going out and looking for new things and building. We should make better use of the things that we have. We'll get down in a little more detail to some other things as well, but there are multiple mentions of pickleball in there. There is a specific mention that talks about we should look for a place to put 6 additional courts, preferably somewhere other than Rideout Park. Now, I think we would all love to be able to do that. We would love to find other locations where we could put additional courts. We'd love to find other locations to build more tennis courts. We'd love to find other locations to build more outdoor facilities, more indoor facilities, lots of
On an
things.
indoor track, yeah.
So yeah, wouldn't that be great? So we certainly are very supportive of that recommendation. What's going on now at Rideout Park is we are looking at an existing facility. I'm not talking about new facilities. We're talking about an existing facility that currently has 6 pickleball courts and 3 tennis courts. My observation, I am there regularly, and I think from what we heard at the various meetings, it's being used very heavily for pickleball already. That's the primary use that's going on there is pickleball, and there's less tennis there than there is pickleball at the moment. Now, granted, that may be because there's so many pickleball players that tennis players can't get on the courts. It's always an issue. We're doing that, but
I'm sorry.
Oh, my.
we're not open for public comment. So there's an awful lot of use of pickleball there now. There are 6 temporary, I guess is the correct word, temporary pickleball courts and 3 permanent tennis courts that are there now. It's a heavily used facility. People love it. They're using it all the time.
I should just clarify that the pickleball courts that are temporary are on the tennis courts.
Correct.
So that when you're set up for pickleball and people are playing, the tennis courts are not available for
Correct.
tennis. I just didn't want people to think that there were 6 pickleball
Yes,
courts
correct.
here and 3 tennis courts there.
Correct. So that there's which creates user conflicts, right? You've got the same people, two user groups trying to use the same piece of space. Side observation from our conversation at the public meeting, I was impressed about how people actually converse with each other and have worked out some things there. People always have concerns, but there's a lot of good use going on there at the moment. One other piece to talk about, facilities, strategic plan also made a recommendation or an observation from lots of other folks that the issue of these multi-use courts is less than desirable. We should always try and find dedicated courts. It's better for everybody's playing experience, etc. We don't always have that luxury. So the issue from my perspective is, if we had money, we had the opportunity to do so, we would all love to be looking for new places to do that. The specific recommendation in the plan is for 6 additional courts above our current stock. That's not what we're talking about now. We're talking about what are we doing with the current stock of facilities. And we're looking at, so it becomes primarily a question of sort of tennis versus pickleball and how we're going to manage in that small space. So when we're talking about this from the project perspective, when we're thinking about how we're looking at how do we make the best use of the facilities that we've got? How do we think about dedicated versus, multi-use courts?
Yeah.
How do you think about those use conflicts between the two groups? How can we make the best use of our existing facility? That's the context in which we came up with the three different options that we came up with. So I think from my perspective, those all fit within what we learned in the strategic plan, right? We're talking about the best use of our things. We're trying to find opportunities for additional pickleball. We're not talking about new facilities. We're talking about using our existing facilities the best we can. When it comes down to the issue of sort of user group trade-offs, one of the other very interesting things in the strategic plan, one of the things that happened was that the consultants did a benchmark of Concord against, for lack of other terms, average communities, right? Of our size, communities of that size population, given current use trends and what other places are doing, what's sort of the target you should have, the ideal that you should have for various courts. There are currently 11 dedicated tennis courts. There are 5 at Emerson. There are 6 at the high school. There are probably a couple others around here that we don't even know about. I think there's some old ones at some of the schools. But there's at least 11 dedicated tennis courts, and there are the 3 shared tennis courts at Rideout. There are only the 6 temporary pickleball courts at Rideout and 8-10 hours a week of indoor use of pickleball here during the winter. That's the current stock that we're talking about. Interesting to me that in the NPRA benchmark for a community of our size, we are well oversubscribed in tennis. We have more tennis. They say we only need 2 to 3 tennis courts. We already got 11, 14 if you count the 3 at Rideout. 6 pickleball courts is their target number. So when you reference communities of our size, that's sort of what we're referencing. So that's the context in which we came up with the options for Rideout Park that we're discussing. That's the context of the facilities strategic plan. That's what I wanted to share with people, because I do think there's been some questions raised by abutters, and I think it's a legitimate enough question that we sort of pulled that comment out to have a conversation here at this point in the process. That's my take on it. I wanted to open it up for any commissioners who had any other questions, comments, discussion.
Let me clarify that the question that you were asked by the public comments is what the subcommittee looking at consistent with the strategic plan?
Yeah, their comment was you're not consistent with what the strategic plan says. So
Okay.
that was the
Did
observation.
anyone express to you why they felt there was an inconsistency with the strategic plan?
It was not at the public meeting. We've only seen it in email since. So there has not been we haven't had any conversations directly with anybody yet. I think what people are looking at, again, strategic plans, you can find lots of information there. I think it's the specific recommendation that talks about we should be looking for 6 additional dedicated courts, preferably somewhere other than Rideout Park. 100% agree with that recommendation. When we're in the business of looking for new locations, we will not be looking at Rideout Park. I think that's if we all agree with that, if we were looking for new locations, it would not be right out park. We would love to be looking at PVD school, MCI, lots of other places when we get to the place of expanding what we've currently got and moving to new location. Absolutely, it would not be at right out park. I don't think anybody here believes that we would be looking there. What we're looking at is the existing suite, which is 3 tennis courts with temporary pickleball in the context of, we need more pickleball. We heard it loud and clear. We have been told we want sort of the balance of courts that are available. That's the context in which we came up with these options. I, for one, think that is wholly consistent with the strategic plan, and that's where we came up with, and that's why we come forward with these.
Yeah, so do I. That's why I'm asking what the objection was.
I think it's primarily they thought we should be looking elsewhere than Rideout Park.
For something new.
That's what the recommendation is.
So your point is that we're dealing only with existing facilities.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's fairly straightforward from my perspective, but the rest is sort of additional context. I do think it's worth noting, there are not a lot of funds around for us to be looking for new places. We are lucky to be able to scramble around to find 3 different pots, potentially 4 pots of money
Yes.
to be able to have
Yeah.
what we're doing at Rideout.
Yeah.
We found through that same scrambling around of money to be able to resurface the courts at Emerson next year. We decided to do Rideout first because it was in worse condition than the ones at Emerson, and because there's also some funding that expires that we have to do now. So we all looked at it. It makes sense to do Rideout first, then we'll come back and we'll do a similar process at Emerson.
It's a pretty exciting project. We have had a good deal of public comment. I look forward to sharing it. As Phil said, I'll be sharing it with the subcommittee first. They'll get the whole package after November 21st. Maggie's gonna help me put it together. We'll send it to the subcommittee, and then after the subcommittee meets, you'll be getting it all too. Obviously, you'll get the full package as Phil described, and the package meaning the full file of every comment. And of course, it's posted with our meeting, our upcoming meetings. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. We're getting a lot of input.
Anybody else have any other questions, any comments or observations they want to make? Anybody on the committee has just joined us? She's on the.
She wanted to make a public comment, so I just asked her, she may want to, yes, it looks like she may. We'll
Yeah,
ask her.
not on Rideout. I just want to make sure the other updates I had, which I think were already covered. I apologize. I was late. I was double booked this evening with another committee, so I'm joining a little late, but we can wrap up Rideout. I don't have anything to comment on with regard to Rideout at the moment.
Let me just check. Anybody else, any other comments they want to make? Okay. Thank you. Okay, Jess, go ahead. We'll go loop back up and hear what you had to say about whatever you wanted to comment on.
Yeah, I just wanted to note, I know Giroux Park was on the list right now. We are looking to have the select board have an agenda item on the evening of December 8th to try to finalize some plans with regard to the official grand opening, which will now be pushed to the spring. That will also include some discussion about what type of monument will be appropriate to be placed out there, as well as some discussion, hopefully a recommendation on some wording for that monument. So hopefully December 8th, that's what we were targeting on Giroux. And then I do see Sandy Smith on the call as well. I don't know if he gave any updates on the Maisie O'Donnell project, but we are working through being able to take the route of doing a public-private partnership. Our town council is currently working on an MOU, and I just saw your email, Sandy, with your update on CC pools, but I just wanted to, let folks know that that is moving forward. There was a lot of discussion at this group about, what that process would look like, whether it have to be an open procurement 30B or if we could do the public-private partnership. So it's a pretty exciting development. And again, I don't know if Sandy already spoke to this or if he didn't, if he has anything he wants to add on this topic.
I spoke to it, Jessica, and made the update.
Perfect.
Sandy,
Thank you.
Sandy, is there anything you wanted to add?
I don't have anything particular to add, except that Lee covered the issues pretty clearly earlier. But we're hopeful to see a draft of the MOU in the next several business days. And so we'll have a much better sense of where things stand once we see that. That MOU will sort of define the relationship between the town and the nonprofit. CC Pools this week has also received notice that it's been successfully revived and it's in good standing in the corporations division of the Secretary of State. So I think everything is falling into place nicely. And as I said, we're just looking to see the contents of the MOU and deciding, and that'll give us some guidance as to how we move forward from here.
Great.
Thank you.
That's very exciting. All right, if there are no further questions from the commissioners about or comments about Rideout, let's move on to any new business. Any new business we need to think about?
I'll just report for new business. I am going to bring back the, as Maggie just brought up, I want to bring to you our partners. So I'll ask to be added to the agenda to share information about who we're partnering with this year and our goals with that. And then I'll also make a special attempt to add, not an attempt, I am gonna do it because DJ is gonna help me. We're gonna add information that you requested, I think it was you in particular, Phil, at the last meeting, which is more information on who we're partnering with for vendors for our programs. Because we did present the budget, how we were adding more vendors to summer camp, etc. So we'll put that together as well. I don't know if they're both gonna be at the next meeting, but that'll be new business for us.
Okay. We have an item on the agenda which calls for public comment for items not on the agenda. It's an unusual wording, but we stolen it from the Board of Selectmen. I do recognize that there are a lot of people here who are here to want to know about Rideout and what's going on. As I said, this is not a public meeting for public comment. If you have not already put in a public comment, please do by email. Every comment will be received and reviewed by the subcommittee and for the full commission with our recommendations that come on later. If there are specific questions about the process, the dates of the meeting, anything like that, I welcome those comments. We're not going to get into responding to everybody's specific questions about it. We had the opportunity to do that at the public meeting. So please respect that. If you have a comment you would like to add, please limit it to 1 minute. As I said, we're not going to get back and forth in debate. We will respond where we can have an appropriate and clear response. If it's appropriate, and we'll try our best to do that. If you do have a question, please state your name and your address so that we have it for the record.
Yeah, Dan Stapleton from 20 Rollins Street in West Concord. And so, no, I did hear you. So this is not an opinion comment on Rideout. It's a process question. And the question is specifically, I am aware of the other public meeting. So have any of the adverse considerations associated with pickleball, in particular noise attenuation, been a factor in this decision process? In particular, given that this is not the first community where this is, like the lawsuits and a number of issues, property devaluation issues, and just fundamental fairness. So my specific question is, has noise been considered as a factor in the decision process, either in determining whether those should be 8 pickleball courts, as well as should noise attenuation measures be added if they are pickleball courts?
So we have asked the consultant for some technical information about noise attenuation, just so we know what options there are, what sort of costs there are. So we have asked that question. We don't have definitive answer to what is possible or not possible.
I live on 28 steps of the studios at 28 Maple Street. I can see the pickle courts through my bedroom window. So I'm actually right in front or right behind them. So I have a couple of questions, I know it's not a public comment, but I cannot make those meetings ever. So I just want to recap and make sure. We have 5 courts at Emerson Park, and then we have 6 tennis courts at the Concord High School. And Rideout only has 3. And what we're seeing is that West Concord can't even keep that now. Even though Concord has 11. So then my next question is, why don't we change some of the tennis courts at Emerson Park? Is it because the neighbors would disagree? then should I be penalized for being a good neighbor and not taking legal action against the distance between my property and the proposed pickleball court? Which, by the way, are already in WIS violation. The recommendation is 500 feet at least of distance, 200 feet with sound mitigation. I measured it. I'm at 110 feet of distance between my bedroom and the proposed 8 pickleball courts. Okay, so, and one more thing. On the last public meeting, someone said those in West Concord can simply go to the other side of town and play tennis there. This is an incredibly elitist and privileged opinion. I have immigrant families, which for their safety and this uncertain and violent times, I will keep their names private. We use the tennis courts right now, and they have expressed fear about even doing that. To somehow assume we can all simply hop in a car and go across town to ultimately, I just feel like it's saying there's a big FU to this young kids. Okay, who are honestly living in fear.
Okay, thank you very much. I think one of
These
the,
communities are living in fear and they have found a little slice of heaven and reprieve and safety. And what I'm hearing is they can just go across town. Free to go down the street.
so one of the biggest challenges you'll find in the world of recreation is everybody would like a facility equally accessible to all, walkable from everybody. We would love to have a plethora of resources in walking distance from everybody in town. It's not realistic. That cannot happen. We have.
I thought your vision was equity.
I would love there to be,
And make it
love there to be
inclusive.
equity.
So what you're saying is not inclusive. So you're saying that someone should go across town that might actually be afraid
Okay,
or
then-
may actually not be permissive due to financial reasons.
The next one.
And again, the sound mitigation is not part of your budget, by the way. You're saying we'll see what happens.
The next one.
110 feet from my window.
Her hand was up before mine.
Push.
I agree with the sound issue.
Your name and address, please. So.
Oh, I'm sorry, Leslie Michelle Tao, 111 Losbrook Road. I'm now 70. I love playing tennis. I go to the tennis courts. I used to be able to go there with my friends a lot. I can't now because most of the courts are already taken with pickleball. I know it's a new thing and you're saying that the town overall has too many courts. But to the last speaker's point, they're all on the other side of town, pretty much. And you are going to be redoing the Emerson courts next year. And I don't understand why we can't keep our tennis courts, at least one tennis court, and have at least one tennis court over in Emerson made into a pickleball court next year. So, if we have to have any pickleball, let's still have tennis for those. I can walk to the courts, soon I won't be able to drive, or want to drive there. So
That sounds like.
I agree.
One of the options about six
I-
football courts and one tennis court. That's what it sounds like.
but I don't hear a lot of consideration for our neighborhood.
Thank you.
Hang on a minute.
All right,
I've been here for 40 years and I just keep running into this problem over and over and over again, especially about ride out. And having to be part of too many public campaigns to get commissions to understand the West Concord point of view on the use of ride out.
Yeah, so we have Concord Envision, and that speaks about not having to get into your car every time you want to do something. So to have both pickleball and tennis at Ride Out and at Emerson Field, and maybe even at the high school, seems to go along with Concord Envision, which is a guiding principle that this town has adopted. And also, Cynthia Katz, 20 Conant Street. Also, to go back to the previous speakers, it is really a slap in the face of West Concord that we seem to be, and Ride Out seems to be, the dumping ground for everything that Concord Center doesn't really want to adopt. And I think that it's really a shame. I heard a gentleman a year ago say when we were walking at Ride Out, at the tennis courts, at the pickleball courts, and I pointed out something, he said, well, it is West Concord, you know. And I think that there's, you know, there's a lot of like, oh, who cares? And that's really a shame.
Jonathan Sonis, 38 Maple Street. So I have not measured how far from my bedroom the pickleball courts are, but it's right, we're direct to butters. And I maybe have a little bit more of a measured take in that, we chose to live next to a public park. We enjoy living next to a public park, and we enjoy what comes along with that and people recreating there. It's part of our sort of lifestyle living right there in the village there. I will say that in the more than 5 years that we lived there, what makes it so special is the variety of activities that happen. And I see one option here which allows for both tennis and pickleball, and one that only allows for pickleball. There's no option here that says no one can play pickleball there. And I'm not asking, honestly, I like that there can be both. But I just worry, and I'm not a engineer, it doesn't seem like there's a way that you could do any of these pickleball options, but for the times that they're not being used for pickleball, allow for folks to play tennis there. And to the comments earlier, there are many, and I recognize it's often hard to get a court because there's so much pickleball. But there are a lot of people that really value having those tennis courts there. You know, earlier when the pickleball is happening during the times that there isn't the organized pickleball. And I just would hate to see that diversity of activity and all the different users that enjoy that space being cut. Thank you.
Mike Carey, Oak Hill Circle in West Concord. I have a question. My understanding was that we were not supposed to be making points one way or another with respect to the use of rhino. My question is, the December 1st meeting, subcommittee meeting, is that for public comment or not?
No, it's a working group of the subcommittee. We will have closed the public comment by the 21st. We will have looked at all the public comment that we've got from the meeting and by email. Take all that into consideration, deliberate what we've heard from that, what we've heard technically from consultants, and all the information that we have to come up with.
So you're really asking for comments now by email?
I do. And please recognize, I'm trying to respect the fact that you all came out here this evening. Normally, we would not even have pulled out a public comment and said, hey, let's talk about this at the commission meeting, independent of every other comment. I thought it was an appropriate enough question to do so, and as the chair, I took that prerogative, so please respect that, and we're not trying to do public comment.
I think the number is appreciated.
Well, and I think I couldn't attend that meeting. I had to go to a funeral. I wanted to be there. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to.
Appreciate that.
Joe Coons, 41 Maple Street. I just have a couple of questions because I don't know the answers to these. Do we know that people from Concord are going to be using these courts that make it all pickleball? Or is it going to be a regional magnet? Do we have any usage data to support a decision in this area? My other question is there, I really don't know the answer to this, maybe somebody does. Is pickleball a fad, or is it something that is going to be, people are going to be playing the rest of our lives?
So you can ask that question. Pickleball over the last 10 years is the fastest growing sport in the country. Here, it is incredibly popular and continuing to grow. I can say that. The other question that you raised is one of the eternal challenges. You've had the questions the people are raising is on the eternal challenges in the world of recreation. Talk about if we create something, are people and we pay for it, are people from all over the place going to come play with it? How come we can't have facilities, you know, all of the best facilities in every neighborhood around the town? These are all universal questions that are asked all the time when you're in the recreation world. You do your best given the resources that you have, the current facilities you've got to meet those men. That's what we do. We're here to try and balance all those things as best we can. That's the answer I can get to that. So whether our answers will always, we fully appreciate the issues of noise and adjacency. We fully appreciate the issues of distribution across town and where people can play various sports. All of these are valid issues. We struggle with them as much as everybody else does, right? That's what we're here to do. We're trying to do our best to do those. There is no definitive answer to that question. I will add one thing, that next year, the follow-on question about coming in from all of this is a system for us doing court reservations, registration, et cetera, like that. We will be tackling that question next year. It's clearly an issue that has been raised. It was raised during the facilities plan. It's again, another issue that you deal with all the time in the world of recreation. I think it's incumbent upon us to take the next step and start talking about reservation systems, identifying who's using it, and get better usage data that way. And we'll be taking that question on subsequently.
Well, I can just conclude by saying that this wouldn't be the first time that people on my street, on our street, we're all, we're generally fair-minded people, but we have had to fend off intrusions on the nature of the park before. And that's, with that background, that's sort of informs our presence and our approach to it. Years ago, they wanted to make it a big baseball field, which would have limited our access, the way people commonly use it, especially the people who live right next to it. So we sense a similar challenge in this case.
And Mr. Chairman, I can give I can give some numbers about the use of the courts.
Could you provide us that? Could you provide that comment to us on the email?
I would just like to thank you folks for hosting a very productive and interesting meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a challenge.
The process question on the noise issue is. This isn't a great system, but given the process of public comment and the public hearings. I mean, the issue of noise in abutting properties is so obvious. It was not part of the consultant's original analysis. It wasn't part of the original presentation by the town. Knowing that it's such a contentious issue. Well, the process of work, making that information public. You said you're reaching out to your consultant, so will that be a formal process where they will come back and say, well, here's the results of our noise analysis, whatever.
We haven't.
Then we could respond to that, because otherwise, how do you move forward without addressing that one issue? I'm not against pickleball. I like pickleball, and like pickleball is not tennis in the sense that it has adverse impacts that are unique to pickleball, and they just need to be addressed.
Understood. Understood. This is again,
Thank you for comment.
thank you for the comment. We're talking about an existing facility, not putting in new things. It's a different conversation when we're talking. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. We will meet again the subcommittee on December 1st and have our recommendation for December 11th. Thank you all.
Yeah, please send the comments. Send your comments by email.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry,
Thank you.
we will formally now adjourn the
Thank you very much.